businesses need to behave as a soil, right? You've got to be a soil that enables people to grow. And I think when you've got these institutions that say, no, we've always done it this way, and there's a lot of them, and I need this person with this skill set, otherwise we're not going to succeed. That fear of trying new things, the fear of doing something differently, and bringing people in. It's like the neurodiverse society, right? You know, people that sort of avoid a neurodiverse environment, yet when you engage in neurodiverse people, it blows your mind, the capability and the different thinking.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great example as well, because the whole kind of aspect of neuro inclusion, I've had a lot of people talk about this on the podcast, and ultimately everyone's brain's different. So if you're building an organization or a culture or a way of working that takes into account everyone's brain's different, and some people's brains are very different, but then that's good for everyone. That gives everyone the chance to grow and the chance to develop. And there are certain, neurodiverse people who do have superpowers and can do, amazing things. I mean, it's something that's, very, very close to me because it's a big feature of my family. And it's amazing to see that the companies who've embraced that, what they've got from that as well. And I think the other interesting thing, a number of people on the podcast come and talk about this, are what companies like Timpsons are doing, recruiting people straight out of prison and giving them an opportunity and structuring it all that way, and that was immensely beneficial to them. When it was, and it still is, very difficult to hire people into frontline retail roles, massively valuable to their business. The same with Body Shop in the US. They have an open hiring program where the only criteria is can you do these hours, and then we'll just take the first people who apply, and we don't mind what their background is. And then those companies will do studies on, they did a study on actually the people we employed through the open hiring program were at least as good as the people who went through we need this experience, we need this, we need that. So it's that different thinking, I think, is so, I mean, it's brilliant for society, but very valuable for companies as well.
Yeah, and I guess one of the things that we've learned, not in a scientific way or a massive research way, but what we've learned is if you can hone in when you're engaging potential employees, team members, if you can hone in, you learn how to hone in on establishing and understanding what their true values are. Even if they don't know themselves, you go through a process where you can identify how they behave and what their values are. That increases the success rate of hire by about 90%. Because you can see, how and it's not about the skills. The skills you can teach, people learn lightning speed these days with the tools available.
Exactly.
Let's move on to the retention bit. So we've now managed to get some people into the business. What are the key elements of retaining quality staff? What are the things that drive change, do you think? And what drives instability and insecurity when you then are faced with, my God, my attrition rate is through the roof?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are lots of things. There are lots of things that contribute to it. I think the first and most important thing is hiring the right people. Hiring people who are right for the culture and the that type of business. I think that's the kind of the fundamental part of it. There's so much. I think there's so much round. There's so much round this. I think a lot of it comes to some of the things that you've already been talking about in terms of giving people that chance to grow, and also giving people the chance to buy into a vision that they kind of really believe in. I think that's another aspect to it. I think it's very interesting with watching companies deal with the sort of post-pandemic flexible work. Do we have everyone back in the office? What do we do? And the kind of the pushback that's come from that. And I think a lot of that is also about is about leadership and how people show leadership and how people model that way and understand, really understand drives their employees. And just because they need to be in the office to feel in control, and they've spent a lot of money on this office, and that's how they learned stuff when they were coming up through the ranks. It's like, it doesn't, you're fundamentally misunderstanding your employees if you think that's gonna drive them. So I think it's a lot about hiring for success, so getting that sorted, but also just how you can help your people grow. And some attrition is good. It's good to that people leave when they're ready, and you get new ways of thinking into your organization. But I think it's it's a multifaceted thing, but it's kind of vision, leadership, communication, maybe just fundamentally trusting people. You've employed them to do a job, trust them to do it. I think that's the thing. And I think we still, I did a big kind of bit of research about this in terms of how we think about working life and how we think about the working day, for example. And we're basing off very old concepts, like the whole concept of a 5-day week, is 100 years old. The concept of an 8-hour day is like 150 years old. The concept of that people only work when you watch them, that's like a 70-year-old concept. So we've got all these kind of operating systems for work, many of which in leaders are just completely subconscious. It's like, well, that's what work is. Work is, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, is it? And should it be? Because these are old ways of thinking, and we've got a very different world. And I think that's why you see companies experimenting with things like 4-day weeks, and because it's we probably need a new operating system for work, because we're working off something that may not be relevant for the world we now live in.